In this session, you will hear about strengthening Europe's knowledge in support of the European Green Deal and empowering citizens for the transition towards a climate-neutral, sustainable Europe. And Joël Graaf, National Contact Point for Social Sciences, Humanities and Arts, and myself, National Contact Point for Research Infrastructure, will present areas 9 and 10, the so-called transversal or cross-cutting areas. You see them in the Green Deal call structure that is now familiar to you. And it's called transversal because it's not thematic, but across all thematics. And the challenge that the Green Deal is tackling is not just technical. It requires profound adaptations in lifestyle and behavior. This call will therefore reach out and engage with Europe's citizens in novel ways to ensure that no one is left behind by the transition. And this aspect will be presented by Joël in a few minutes. In addition, this call underlines the need to continue building Europe's knowledge systems and infrastructures. And I will present now this aspect and the first topic of Area 9. But before this, I would like to stress again, for those of you who didn't assist the sessions this morning, that the topic texts are still draft and preliminary until the publication that is expected end of September after or during the Research and Innovation Days. The official topic texts will, once published, be found on the Funding and Tenders portal of the European Commission. And some of today's content is based on expert aspects of the topics text. So let's go to the first topic of Area 9 that has the identifier LCGD91-2020. If you put this identifier in the Funding and Tenders portal, you will be directly linked to this topic with title European Research Infrastructures, Capacities and Services to address European Green Deal challenges. It is, this topic is a research and innovation action, and you know now that it means that funding is 100% for profit and not-for-profit organizations. Important to know is that the topic has two different subtopics. The first A on energy storage and B on advanced climate or environment observation and monitoring. And you have to choose between one of the two. You cannot do both. The budget is 7 to 13 million euros, depending on the subtopic. It's 7 million for A and 8 to 13 million for B. The deadline is end of January, like all other topics of the Green Deal call. It's a single stage procedure, and the standard Horizon 2020 submission rules apply. What will you have to do to answer this topic? For subtopic A, support European leadership in clean energy storage technologies. The aim of this action is to bring together, integrate on European scale, and open up key national and regional research infrastructures to European research from both academia and industry, as well as to develop any missing services which better fit specific needs for research and technological developments. So the main aim here for this subtopic is to provide access, be it transnational and or virtual access, and joint development of services. and also breakthrough research and innovation in energy storage systems and related materials across the whole value chain and with a life cycle approach. This is classical for this European Green Deal call. It is also important to anchor European research infrastructures in an efficient and competitive research and industrial ecosystem for energy storage. Proposals should include clear indicators, allowing the assessment of the progress towards the general and specific objectives other than the access provision. As the scope of this topic is to ensure integration and access to key European infrastructures in this domain and to avoid duplication of efforts, at most one proposal will be funded. So it's really important that you integrate, if you are looking for partners, that you find all important actions in the field. It is also a good idea, if you want to submit to this subtopic, to have a look at the European Battery Alliance, which is a European initiative from the EU, and also have a look at the Open Innovation Testbeds. We go now to subtopic B, slightly different. It's about European research infrastructures and monitoring networks for greenhouse gases, observing capacity of European research infrastructures. It's notably anthropogenic CO2 emissions in and around cities and other large emissions such as industrial sites and transport infrastructures. The action can also enhance urban air quality monitoring networks and other relevant observing infrastructures in measuring air pollutants such as particles and their precursors. Important is that the engagement of the health community and citizens is required to address the scarce availability of sub-100 nanometer particles concentration data, which has hampered epidemiological studies on their effects. And for these subtopics, you should also propose a roadmap for upscaling of the infrastructure. In the topic text, there are 3 research infrastructures that are mentioned and that you have to refer to. The first one is ICOS, Integrated Carbon Observation Systems. There we have Nina Buchmann at the ETH as a contact person for Switzerland, if you want to contact somebody. The second infrastructure is ACTRIS, Aerosol, Clouds and Trace Gases Research Infrastructures. The Swiss partners in these infrastructures are the Paul Scherrer Institute and EMPA. The third infrastructure is IAGOS, that stands for In-Service Aircraft for a Global Observing System. Here we don't have a Swiss partner. So you should integrate, take their work into account if you want to submit to this subtopic. This leaves me to my take-home message. The most important is to carefully read the topic text once it will be published on the Funding and Tenders portal. Very important is also to integrate all national, regional, European research infrastructures so that for each subtopic really only one project will be funded. And most important, if you have questions, contact us at Euresearch. We will be happy to advise, help and guide you. And with this, I give the word to my colleague Joël Graaf.
Thank you, Nico. I will try to go to presentation mode. So welcome everyone also from my side, and I would like to start with the Q&A session, which will be at the end of my presentation. So just for you to know that your questions will be answered in the last 10 minutes of this session. So please, again, put your answers in the chat. Thanks. We will be happy to answer them later on. I would like to point to the fact that the topic text we are discussing today are still in draft mode and preliminary. And as you by now certainly know, there will be an official publication of the Green Deal in September. Here again, the overview. Nico showed it to you already. And I will discuss 4 topics. 1 topic is in area 9 and 3 topics are in area 10. And the focus is really on the social sciences and humanities and also on citizen science. But I think it's also important for you to know that if you are interested in these specific fields, you should definitely have a look at the other areas and the other topics in these areas, as well as social sciences, humanities, sometimes also the arts and citizen participation are really of relevance for the Green Deal call as a whole. I would like to start with this topic on developing end-use products and services for all stakeholders and citizens supporting climate adaptation and mitigation. This is in area 9, as I stated, and it is research and innovation action. As you know, this means 100% funding for both profit and non-profit organizations. It also means, again, that you have to work in a consortium. The minimum requirement is 3 partners from at least 3 different EU countries or Horizon 2020 associated countries. Again, Switzerland is such an associated country, so we are fully eligible for funding. And the budget is around 3 to 5 million euro. And the deadline is in the end of January 2021. If we look at the content of this topic, then it's on the one side really on informing citizens and decision makers about the impacts of climate change, but then it's also about identifying concrete adaptation options and illustrating pathways towards climate neutrality, including consumption planning and lifestyle. And very typical also for this kind of topics is that behavioral factors should be incorporated. So this again points to the inclusion, to the integration of, in this case, social sciences. So for example, someone with a background in psychology could certainly contribute to this challenge. So again, on this topic, it is about providing information about how climate change impacts will evolve and how production and consumption needs to change in order to fulfill the goals of the Green Deal. And it's also on contribute to delivering services for adapting to extreme climate events and new climatic conditions through tools and platforms. And there are some important references you should know. For example, Copernicus will most probably be important, the Global Earth Observation System of Systems, then also the European Marine Observation and Data Network, and the European Space Agency, which you will certainly know, as well as the climate priority of the Group on Earth Observations, GO. So you can see that this topic is really also on platforms and on data provided by these different institutes and initiatives, networks, which are focusing on earth sciences and also on space sciences. Let's go to the next topic. So this is now area 10, and this is a topic on citizen deliberation, citizen participation for the Green Deal. Again, a research and innovation action and a budget between 3 and 5 million euro. So this topic is on establishing networks of experts specialized in deliberative democracy, civic participation, also citizen science. So first of all, experts should come together to tackle the challenges of this topic. And then it is about sharing good practices, tools, resources, etc., and also implement concrete participatory and deliberation processes on priority issues in order to deliver on the Green Deal. In this case, successful projects are expected to contribute to specific impacts, such as the feeling of ownership and engagement through citizens' deliberation and participation across Europe. And it is also about participatory identification of solutions contributing to the European Green Deal. So it's very much also on acceptance by citizens in Europe of these solutions, but also it's about direct involvement of citizens in order to tackle the challenges of the Green Deal. Again, we have some important references you should know. You certainly know the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, this call for action launched by the United Nations to end poverty, protect the planet, well, and ensure that all the people enjoy actually peace and prosperity by 2030. So it's also the Agenda 2030, which you probably know. But there is also another point of reference, which probably is not that well known. It are the so-called MORI indicators. So monitoring, RRI stands for Response, Research, Innovation. And these indicators are on gender equality, on science literacy and education, on public engagement, on ethics, on open access, and on governance. And it's certainly important that you have also a look at these so-called MORI indicators. You will receive more information also in the follow-up email of the presentation. You will have the link, and there is some overlap also with the SDGs, but it are separate indicator systems, so that it's important for you to know as well. Let's come to the next topic. This is on behavioral change, also social and cultural change for the Green Deal. Again, a research and innovation action, so it's really about also establishing new knowledge. 3 to 5 million euro is the budget foreseen so far. And well, it is about addressing behavioral change, both at individual and at collective level, including a broad range of stakeholders, public and private organizations, can also be non-government organizations, NGOs, and so on. And it's, as in the topic I mentioned before, about establishing networks of experts. So it states here transdisciplinary networks of experts, researchers, practitioners, and relevant civil society organizations in order to achieve the goal of behavioral, social, and cultural change. So in this case, the expected impact will be on having greater societal resilience against climate change and environmental crisis in general. And it's really on changing the behavior, both at individual and collective level, as I already mentioned, among these different stakeholders. Again, most probably those will be the most important indicator system you should keep in mind, the Sustainable Development Goals and the MORI indicators. So again, have a look at those indicator systems if you're interested in submitting a proposal under this topic. This is the last topic I'm going to present to you. Well, in fact, there are two topics or two subtopics within this topic on enabling citizens to act on climate change for sustainable development and environmental protection through education, citizen science, observation initiatives, and civic engagement. It's important to know that in this case, it's not a research and innovation action, but an innovation action. So regarding the number of participants, the same minimal requirements apply. 3 partners from at least 3 different European countries or Horizon 2020 associated countries. But now it's really about solutions that are closer to implementation, closer to application, maybe also closer to the market. So also a higher technological readiness level is required here, a higher TRL. And I think for the design of proposals, this is very important to know. Also, the funding rate in this case for for-profit organization is 70%, whereas for non-profit organization it is 100%. As I stated, there are 2 subtopics within this topic. And the first one is on enabling citizens to act on climate change and for sustainable development through education. So the focus is here really on education, and most probably this is also about developing and implementing a European competence framework within the context of lifelong learning. And this framework should then foster the development of knowledge and skills of citizen. And it is an innovation action, as I mentioned. So this is really about testing also such a framework, validating such a framework through implementing pilots and demonstrating activities. So that could be, for example, training institutions and universities that are collaborating on this topic. Subtopic 2 is on enabling citizens to act on climate change and for sustainable development through better monitoring and observing the environment and their environmental impacts. So this really means the direct involvement, the direct integration of citizens in such projects and in climate and in environmental related issues. The focus should really be on the active participation of citizens through citizen science and environmental observation. And actions could include here, for example, the development and improvement of devices. Let's have, again, a closer look at important references for this subtopic. So for subtopic 1, I think it's important to have a look at the Council recommendations on key competences for lifelong learning. So there is already this policy document, which most probably will be important under this subtopic. And for subtopic 2, we have the Climate Adapt platform and the Covenant of Mayors. So the Climate Adapt platform aims to support Europe in adapting to climate change and also helping really the end users to access and share data and information on expected climate change in Europe. And the Covenant of Mayors is also European initiatives involving local and regional authorities, which are committed to increasing energy efficiency and the use of renewable energy sources in their respective regions. Important references for both subtopics include, of course, the concept of citizen science. Then we have the European Climate Pact, which has been launched, I think, this year in March. We have the European Biodiversity Strategy, which aims to put Europe's biodiversity on a path for recovery until 2030. We have the European Ocean Literacy platform. And we have, of course, different EU-funded projects which already exist, which you could have a look at. So, for example, Tarifaca, Scientix, and so on. And also the UNESCO, of course, has a lot of experience when it comes to education for sustainable development. So this might be also an interesting reference point. I think I have still a bit of time, and therefore I would like to go a bit more into the question and issue of partner search and networks, because this is really crucial in general in order to be able to participate under these topics. So collaborative research and innovation is required. You really have to collaborate with other partners. And the big question which arises is, well, maybe the first question is am I going to coordinate such a big project? You could probably do that if you have already a lot of experience on the Horizon 2020, but otherwise, maybe you are rather participating as a partner, and then you have to have some strategies actually on how to find the right consortium, how to find the right coordinator. This is something my colleague Matthew mentioned already in the beginning of the session, but as maybe we have some new participants here, I would like to come back to this issue again. And I would like to start with the fact that we have a lot of Swiss expertise in citizen science and transdisciplinarity in Switzerland. What is transdisciplinarity? I refer to transdisciplinarity when it comes to the cooperation between different academic disciplines. So let's say someone with a psychology, scientific psychology background works together with someone who comes from mathematics, so from the IT research. So this would be interdisciplinarity, and transdisciplinarity goes a step farther and says, okay, we have this different collaboration between different disciplines, scientific disciplines, but we have also to include stakeholder knowledge beyond academic disciplines. That could be practitioners, it could be end users, it could be in general citizens. And we have in Switzerland a lot of competences in this field, both in citizen science and transdisciplinarity. So for citizen science, Sciences Cité is certainly an important point of reference. This is an organization which is based at the Swiss academies. We have the Swiss academies themselves, which have a competence center, the TD-Net for transdisciplinary research. So on the website of this institution, you will find also a lot of methodologies aiming really to include non-academic stakeholders, citizens in research projects. So I think this is certainly also very interesting. We have the Center for Development and the Environment of the University of Bern that has a lot of competences. We have at ETH Zurich the Transdisciplinarity Lab. Again, researchers which know very well how to moderate processes, research and innovation processes between citizens, between non-academic stakeholders, practitioners, end users on the one side, and the academic disciplines on the other side. And we have also such competences at the University of Basel and also the University of Geneva. So I would say have a look also at this expertise which we have in Switzerland. Then we have the CORIS database. Again, this has been mentioned probably several times already by my colleagues in other presentations, but this is really very important because here in this database, you really find all the previously funded projects on the Horizon 2020, but also on the former framework programs of the European Union. This is a very rich database, and here also, if you're looking for partners, you might look for projects that have been already funded in your area, and then you will also be able to see actually who has participated under the specific projects, and you can even contact directly via this platform the people in charge of those projects or the institutions in charge of those projects. So I think this is a very good first step also to find partners or to build a network. As for the Green Deal itself, we have different brokerage events. Brokerage events are networking events for specific calls. So we have these networking events now really for the Green Deal call. And I think this is really crucial. Have a look at those different opportunities. The European Research and Innovation Days have been mentioned already several times by my colleague. They will take part from the 22nd to the 24th of September. And it's all online, so you can participate there. And there will be a dedicated brokerage event within those EU RNI days. I think it's not yet possible to register, but take this in mind. And I think this is certainly the one brokerage event where most stakeholders will be present that are interested in building networks under the Green Deal call. We have also other initiatives. The 13th of October, we will have a virtual brokerage event organized by Enterprise Ireland, but it's open also for non-Irish stakeholders. So have a look there. And we have also a save the date for a virtual brokerage event specifically on the social sciences, humanities, arts, but also on citizen science, organized by the network Net4 Society. This is just a save the date. It will probably take place 7th of October. So again, this is certainly a very good opportunity to build networks and to find potential partners and coordinators. Then last but not least, of course, it's also very important to register for our services, for the Euresearch services. Register, please, for the e-alerts. We have event e-alerts, we have partner search e-alerts, we have information on upcoming calls, and we will certainly via e-alert also inform you once the Green Deal call is officially published. This is really a very important possibility, very good opportunity to get the newest information via the Research services. And we are also on Twitter, we are also on LinkedIn, so please follow us there as well. And you will receive the most updated information. And with this, I'm coming already to an end. And I will hand over to Matthew for any question.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Joel and Nicole, for the excellent presentation, showing us how important these citizen and social sciences aspects are across all the Green Deal call. So we have a few questions here from the audience. I'll go through them now. The first one is for Joel. So it's, what is the difference between the networks? Actually, it's for both. What is the difference between the networks as they are requested for topics 10.1 and 10.2 and the research infrastructure as requested in topic 9.1? So what is the difference here between these, the networks requested for these two different projects?
Yeah, maybe I start. I think that let's say the similarity lies certainly there that we need networks with experts on citizen participation. So this is true for the whole area 10. And then I would say the difference is really in the focus on the one side in area 10, where it is on really citizen participation and deliberation in general, with a focus on the Green Deal. And then in area 10.2, it's more on the behavioral social and cultural change aspect. But I would say there are overlaps there as well. But I think this whole network issue for the whole area 10 is really crucial. And if you need further information on how to build these networks or how to get into this network, please do not hesitate to contact me also directly.
Nicole, yeah. Do you want to add something?
Yes, perhaps I can say a word about research infrastructures. There, if I say integrate all elements, it means research infrastructures have a specific definition by the European Commission. And these are facilities, resources, and services that are used by the research communities. They are very different. They can be equipment, can be also knowledge-based resources, such as collections, archives, or scientific data. This can be e-infrastructures, such as data computing software system, or any other infrastructure of a unique nature. So it's stricter than just a network. It doesn't mean that you cannot integrate, include partners that are citizens or other entities, such as an SME. But it's a more strict frame than the term networks used for topics 10.1 and 10.2.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Joël, for this. Another question for Joël. Do you have the link for the Council recommendations on key competences for lifelong learning for the topic 10.3?
Yes, I have this link, and I will be very happy to share it with you in the presentation, which you will receive after this event.
Perfect. Another one on topic 10.3, subtopic 1. How broad should be the actual scope of a project? Could it concentrate on a specific, but rather important by climate impact application area, or should it cover a diversity of application areas?
So this is for
you, 10.3, subtopic 1.
On climate change for sustainable development through education, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, could you
I'll read it again. How broad should be the actual scope of a project? Could it concentrate on a specific application area, or should it cover a diversity of application areas?
Yes, I think this is something you probably will have to have a look at once the full topic text is published. But I would say that also regarding, if you look at the budget, it should be rather be different applications here than just focus on one narrow application. But this is something which will be described most probably in the topic text.
Thank you. So we have now a question on topic 9.2. Developing end-user products and services for all stakeholders and citizens, supporting climate adaptation and mitigation. And the question is related to end-user products. Can this area include piloting demonstration of technology that provides end-user products? So can this area include piloting demonstration of technology?
So as this is actually a research and innovation action, pilots are maybe not that important as in innovation actions, but still I could imagine, but again here you will probably have to have a look at the published topic text, that it is possible to have pilots for these climate services, and I think it's even a good thing to have concrete pilots, concrete technology, which then also can be brought to the end users with a higher TRL. I think this is not something which would weaken your proposal, but I think here you have also to wait for the final publication of the topic text. And of course, please come back to me if you would like to have more information on this specific issue via email.
Okay, there was then more of a note, which I think has been already distributed to all the attendees, about the good cooperation between Euresearch and other foreign organizations, well, like Enterprise Europe Network, which we also have in Switzerland. So that's a very good point, and thanks for making that point. So we have another question just arrived. For a citizen science project involving girls' education, could in-person training activities be in only Switzerland, or would they have to be in all the partner countries? In brackets, thinking also of COVID effects.
Yes. Well, I think in general, this is certainly something for citizen science, for area 10, could be even for different topics under this area. And I think exclusive focus on Switzerland would not be the right approach here. So I think it should be also different actions if we talk about the one innovation action we have, which is, let me have a look on which is on topic 3, where you really also, topic 10.3 on enabling citizens to act on climate change through education, citizen science observation initiatives, and civic engagement. So there it's really also about having pilots. And there I would say it's, you should have probably different pilots in different partner countries. I think this would definitely make sense.
Okay, so that was the last question specific to this session. There was another one which related more to general participation. Exactly. So earlier in the previous session, we were discussing about, let's say, third countries' participation, and there is a question related to that. Are there any joint cooperative calls with India or Singapore? I don't know, maybe Joel, you can comment on this, as you already distributed this one pager with, let's say, third countries that are eligible for funding. I think they will be there. If they're eligible, they will be in this sheet, right?
Yes, I think for those countries, at least for Singapore, I'm quite sure that they are not within the list of third countries that are automatically eligible for funding. I think also India is not there. But there are a lot of joint initiatives between the European Union and, let's say, industrialized countries. This is the case for Japan, for South Korea, also for Singapore, and also for India. It really depends here on the specific program, and there are actually also country fact sheets provided by the European Commission, specific fact sheets for specific countries. And in this case, if you're really interested in knowing more about, well, in this case specifically India and Singapore, please come back to me, and I will be happy also to forward you these fact sheets where you have an overview of which funding possibilities are available.
Thank you, Joel. So as we don't seem to have any more specific questions for this session, I had a couple of others still relating to this, which we collected in the last few days from people who were interested. Oh, there is a new question. Oh, just arrived. Okay. For the topic, developing end-user products and services for all stakeholders and citizens supporting climate adaptation and mitigation, the draft text says the scope of activities should cover a range of things. Should cover, and then there is a range of different things probably specified in the text. Is it necessary to cover all of them? So obviously there's a list of different things in the topic text.
Yeah, well, it depends on which topic text you're referring.
It's a developing end user products.
Yes, so, but I think
topic
there is
9.2.
Exactly. I think just there is, let's say, the public topic text, which is from May, and then there have been a few changes, and now we are at a different stage. But let's say that the current draft, which is discussed, is not yet public. So again, I think here it would be important to wait for specific answers to this question. It's important to wait for the official publication in September. But in general, I can say that normally the topic text are stating very clearly, in case participants or proposals should address only parts of the scope. So then normally it says proposals should at least target one of the following issues, or it states at least 3 of the following issues have to be targeted. And if this is not explicitly mentioned, then you really have to try to cover the whole scope section. This is really important because the evaluators, they will have the topic text and they will just check boxes whether, let's say, what is expected in the topic text is also to be found in the proposal. So I hope this is of use as an answer to this specific question.
Thank you for that, Joel. So I go back to these collected questions which we got in the past few days, actually from other clients. I think it's probably good to share them since we have a little bit more time. So this is quite a general one. You have to summarize it. What does citizen science mean in a nutshell?
Yeah, I think this is a very important question because citizen science is a bit everywhere in the Green Deal. So I think the European Commission most probably. So again, I think this has to be seen in the final publication of the topic text. But I would say they most probably will look for a broad definition of citizen science, which could start, from raising public knowledge of science, encouraging citizens to participate in the scientific process by observing themselves, let's say, for example, birds and gathering data and so on. But it could also go further until, let's say, co-design of research innovation projects by citizens. So this would be more what is going to the direction of transdisciplinarity then. I think in any case, and this is certainly true for all these concepts, I think we have a lot of concepts like co-creation, co-design, interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, and so on, so on. Participants should define themselves. I think first of all, they should look whether there is a definition provided in the topic text or somewhere else on the Horizon 2020 funding and tenders portal. And if there is no definition, I think they should define themselves very well what they understand as citizen science, and this makes it really also easier for the evaluators then to evaluate the proposal and actually to see that there is a clear understanding of what those concepts are actually meaning.
Thank you, El. Another probably quite short one about Area 10. Are civil society organizations or NGOs eligible for funding?
The answer is yes, they are eligible for funding, and I would say at least for Area 10, it's even important to have them aboard. And I think this is also the beauty of Horizon 2020 collaborative projects in general, that you can really fund any stakeholder with expertise, be it within an academic institution or be it a non-academic actor. And in this sense, it's possible to have actually anyone with expertise funded, also NGOs and also civil society organizations.
Excellent. And then just the last one, on topic 10.3, subtopic 1 on education, should schools be included in the project?
Yes, I think this will also be stated probably in the final, in the publication of the topic text. Probably there will be specifically asking for the integration of schools. And I think here, maybe they don't have to be beneficiaries. So maybe they don't have to be active participants, let's say in the consortium itself. They could also be funded, but I think it makes probably not sense. But pilot actions in this area and sub 10.3 and subtopic 1 should certainly be targeted also for pilot actions.